After the release of Poppy Playtime Chapter 2, the plot of the game has gotten even more interesting. I've never actually done a theory video for any game other than FNAF before, but I wanted to do one for Poppy Playtime Chapter 2 because after playing through it, I've had some new ideas that I would like to share with you guys. So let's not waste any time, let's get started. In Poppy Playtime Chapter 2, we pick up right where we left off at the end of Chapter 1. After we free Poppy, we seem to have fallen asleep or passed out because we hear Poppy's voice telling us to wake up, and when we do, Poppy is gone from the case that we just freed her from. Where we came from to get down here in Chapter 1 is now blocked off, but a door that was previously blocked off is now unblocked. We find Poppy, and she helps us turn the power back on. She follows us through the vents where we meet her in a room with a massive hole in it, and she starts telling us to trust her when all of a sudden a pink hand shoots out of the hole and tugs her down into it, prompting us to follow her down. We come to a room where we end up meeting Mommy Longlegs, who tells us that if we can beat her 3 challenges, she will give us the code into the train so we can get out of here, and we do. Each time we beat a minigame, she gives us 1 piece of the train code, and she also gets more and more aggressive. But on the final challenge, we go off track and leave the minigame before it finishes, and this gets Mommy Longlegs really mad. She finds us under the factory and screams that we will play one more game, hide and seek. She starts counting, and we try to find a way to get out, and to stop Mommy Longlegs. After a couple really awesome chase sequences, we eventually lead her to this thing. She gets stuck in it, and she's crushed to death. Just like Huggy, she bleeds when she is crushed. And then a weird creepy metal hand reaches out from a hole in the wall and grabs her remains. Then we go on to get to the train, we start to leave, but then Poppy says that we are too perfect to lose and that she can't let us leave, and she switches the course of the train. Then we crash the train, and the game just ends there. But the most interesting thing about the chapter is what Mommy Longlegs says as she's being crushed.
What have you done? He'll make me part of him!
Could you tell what she's saying? She's saying, he'll make me part of him. And she says that right before the hand comes out. So, whose hand is this? Well, originally, we thought that Experiment 1006, aka the prototype, is Huggy Wuggy, since in Chapter 1 we get the death prompt that Experiment 1006 is wonderful when we are killed by Huggy, but I don't think that's the case.
Experiment 1170, Huggy Wuggy, remains the optimal outcome due to his sufficient intelligence paired with maximum obedience.
I think this is the hand of Patient 1006. We also get a death prompt in Chapter 2 that says, he is loose. There's an emergency lockdown.
Oh, whoa.
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 No.
What was that? He is loose. This is an emergency lockdown. This seems to be a reference to the final tape in the first game where the dude talks about Experiment 1006 probably being responsible for everything that's happening that night, while we hear people screaming in the background before the prototype kills the speaker himself.
Final log. In relation, Experiment 1006, the prototype. Coordination and cooperation is evidently within his skill set, as well as the skill set of all other experiments of his type. Though still missing, today's events are no doubt in relation to him. His absence was a flaw in the scientific process, which should have under no circumstances been left unaccounted for. That's why I'm making this log, so that the same mistake won't be made twice. Any future experiments will need to be contained and disposed of in a secure location. I'm not worried about myself. One breakthrough and I'll be back. We must forge onwards in the name of science, whether those who are beneath us understand it or not. End of...
Another thing I want to talk about is the mystery text, because I think I might have solved it. In Chapter 1 of Poppy Playtime, there was a death prompt that was unique compared to all the others. It was a strange looking text, and MatPat suggested that it could say, stay, they need help. In Chapter 2, though, there's another one, and I was determined to figure out what it is. So, as a base, I started by working off the letters Matt's phrase would give me. So it immediately gave me THEY apostrophe blank E blank blank ST H blank N blank blank Y. I at first thought that the second last letter in the first word would be a V, because that would make sense, they've. But when I added that in, it didn't add up in the final word. It would be they've, and then blank blank st, h blank n blank vy. And so what the heck would that be? So I thought for like 20 minutes, talked to Krakoa about it, and I decided I should focus on the middle word. 4 letters ending with an st. So what word could it be? My initial thought was lost, and I thought the phrase could be they've lost hope, but the last word didn't match that, like, at all. So eventually my mind went to the word just. Quickly, I realized that the second last letter in the first word could also be an R. That would make the phrase they're just HUN blank RY. And then I solved it. They're just hungry. And this matches up with some of the tapes hinting at the killer dolls eating people, and Mommy Longlegs' reaction when she sees us.
A new playmate. It's so long.
And during the first minigame, she says that Bunzo hasn't eaten for so long, and that he's probably really excited to eat us.
Oh, isn't it amazing? Mommy hasn't seen the place up and running in years. Mommy can only imagine how excited Bunzo must be. It's been such a long time since he's been able to play, to cheer, to eat. Oh, that's the dinner bell. Good luck.
So now let's talk about Poppy herself. Who is she? MatPat's thought was that she's Stella Grayburr, and while I did believe that for a while, I think there's another option that is more likely. Stella, in her tape in Chapter 1, implies that she would like the idea of having another body because she continuously talks about how human bodies die young in comparison to other things. But Stella is just a girl who wants to entertain children the same way she was entertained with her toys when she was a little kid. And she's actually the voice for all the minigames for all the kids. She's the one that tells them where to go and tries to entertain them, tries to introduce them to the fun games that they're going to play. Stella seems like she would be more of a nicer soul, not an evil one. And that's not to say that Poppy is evil, but that Stella wouldn't be anyone like Huggy or Mommy Longlegs. But Mommy Longlegs is most likely already identified anyway. After escaping the final minigame, we can find a sheet of paper at the water treatment room controls. This paper has information on Mommy Longlegs being hostile towards the staff, but is protective of the other experiments, of which she is number 1222. And at the top of the paper, it says that Mommy Longlegs is subject Marie Payne, or Mary Payne. I think it's Marie Payne. So I think that just confirms MatPat's theory that that it's humans, right, that are being turned into these things, because it says subject Mary Payne or Marie Payne, I don't know, one of the two. But anyway, so clearly Mommy Longlegs isn't Stella, but Poppy? Well, what if Stella isn't Poppy, but rather a character who appears so briefly in this chapter, and I mean really briefly. After Wacka Wuggy, we find a few interconnected hallways where we end up seeing a door opening behind a gate. When the door opens, the silhouette looks like Huggy Wuggy at first, but when they move closer, it's revealed that it's actually Kissy Missy. When I played this part, I thought Kissy was going to open the gate and come kill me, but no.
Oh, hello. You coming to kill me again?
It's Kissy Missy! This ain't Huggy Wuggy.
I'm sorry.
Never
I'm
mind.
sorry. I just find it hilarious that, like, just out of nowhere, you're like so surprised that it's Kissy Missy.
Oh shit, she's coming after me, isn't she?
I am going to kiss you very much, and then I'm going to murder you.
Oh wait, is
Poison
she?
ivy lips.
Hold up, is she helping me?
Sure.
Because she just opened it for me and walked away. Maybe she's trying to lull me into a false sense of security.
Excuse me? Did you just say she's trying to lull you?
She just opens the gate and walks away. Kissy Missy helps us. So she is made from a good person. Stella. But if Stella isn't Poppy, then who is Poppy? Well, my original thought was that it ties into the first tape we are able to find in this chapter, on the desk of Elliot Ludwig's office. In the tape, we are told the story of the founding of Playtime Co. After the founding, Ludwig's daughter unfortunately died sometime in the 1960s, and Poppy was made in the 1960s, so what if he made Poppy from his daughter? What if Poppy is Elliot Ludwig's daughter? Or so that's what I thought. When I had another look at the NFTs, never thought I would have to say that, I saw that Poppy was actually made in 1950, not 60. So there goes that theory. So who else could Poppy be? I mean, it's still possible for her to be Stella, I just think Stella is more likely Kissy Missy. And honestly, I'm not really sure who Poppy could be. One thought I did have, though, was that maybe Ludwig's daughter could be Braun, because he was made in 61, but I'm not sure about that. It's just a thought I had. It would be kind of random if that was the case. Also, I want to make a prediction for upcoming chapters, just so that if somehow this crazy-ass idea is correct, that I have bragging rights. I think the prototype will be taking parts from all the antagonists of the chapters. That's probably where Huggy Wuggy went. Mommy Longlegs said that he'll make her part of him, so maybe he is using the other dolls to build himself up. As for who the prototype actually is, what if it's actually Elliot Ludwig himself, dead, and he himself was experimented on and turned into the prototype, but the experiment backfired and murdered the employees? Not really any evidence for it, but it's probably not what's going to happen, but it's just a crazy idea I had, so that if somehow it's true, like I said, I would have bragging rights. But I do want to talk more about the prototype, more about what they will do in the future of the game, and more about who they are. But I think I'm going to save that for another video. But anyways, there's one more thing I need to talk about. Orphans. Right before the end of the game, we make it to a room where we find Poppy and free her. She tells us that we need to get to the train. Before doing that, though, we can find two sheets of paper here. One of them primarily talks about the game station, and the other is some kind of note, suggesting adding fake windows to the train station. In the first one, though, one of the lines tells employees to monitor the kids' actions when they are playing each of the minigames, the ones we play throughout the chapter. Why would we be needing to monitor the kids' actions? Well, the other sheet might answer my question. Quote, I don't know if you've ever spent weeks on end in a windowless, artificially lit room, but let me tell you something. It's far from pleasant. The kids are getting rowdy too. End quote. The note then goes on to talk about fake windows and how they should be added to the train station, but this note tells us that kids have been down in this train station for weeks. This isn't just kids that came for a factory tour, these kids are living here, and that ties into something from the first chapter. Before the chase sequence, we have to make a toy, but in the room where we make that toy, there is a poster near the stairs that talks about how Playtime Co. is adopting orphans. So, what are they doing with these orphans? Well, I think they're turning these kids into toys. They're monitoring their behavior because they want to see which kids are best fit to become them. And the rest would probably be food or something like that. But here's the thing. Around the factory, there are a lot of toys, as in actual toys, that are covered in blood and they lie in a splatter of blood. Poppy is a toy that is made from a human. Maybe not only are the monster dolls organic, but also the actual toys. Hell, it would even explain why there are so many experiments. There's an experiment 1006, and then Mommy Longlegs is 1222? Where are all the ones in between? They're all the toys that were made from the orphans Playtime Co. adopted. But anyways, guys, I hope you all enjoyed this video. If you did, then please do leave a like and subscribe. If you guys like this video, then maybe I'll do more Poppy Playtime theories in the future. So also let me know if I missed anything in Chapter 2 that could potentially hold enough for another theory. But anyways, I'll see you all in the next video. Bye, guys.